So you know all those hilarious memes about rappers complaining about having to pay for beats and then rapping about money? Let's stop posting those. So as a producer, I'm guilty of, at some point in my life way back, I think I was posting those memes. I was complaining about rappers not buying beats. A lot of that was just from frustration of me not really understanding how to build my brand up to where it should be. Granted, there are some rude people out there, but rappers can be rude, producers can be rude. If you work at a gas station, your customers are going to be rude. If you work at a Walgreens, your customers are going to be rude. Some people are just rude for no reason. I think it's just because they feel like they don't want to be taken advantage of, so they come in puffing their chest out, ready for a confrontation when it's completely unnecessary. And I had that happen to me recently from I guess it was a rapper who wanted to license a beat from me. And rather than just reaching out and saying, hey, I have a question, I want these beats, but I want the versions without the hooks, and will they be untagged when I license them? This person just decided to go in super hard as though I had already disrespected that person and they were just returning the energy. Now, why would I be rude to somebody wanting to help me earn a living? I wouldn't. So I wasn't rude back to the person, but here's the message. Granted, I think the old me would have just reacted and either ignored the message or told the person that they were rude, or maybe replied in a sarcastic way. But some people are just, like I said, naturally rude, and that's not something I need to personalize. It's not something I need to internalize, and it's definitely not something I need to take out on every rapper that I interact with. From that point forward, that'd be really immature of me. But I get the person's points. They were frustrated with the way my beats were organized. They wanted some of my beats that had hooks, but they wanted the versions without hooks, and they couldn't find them because the names are different, because oftentimes a songwriter will write a hook to a beat, a month or two after I release it on my site. So there are two different names. The songwriter changes the names based on whatever the theme of the version with the hook is. You get the point. I was willing to help. I didn't react negatively. I just replied and said, hey, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I'll give you a lower price. Let me know which beats you want, and I'll find you the versions without the hooks. Never replied back to me. Cool, whatever. That's how business works. But back to the whole conversation about there being a rift between rappers and beat makers or producers, or what, I don't care what you call them. Interactions like these can create a negative dynamic between us, and I hate to see it happen, and I hate to see it continue, and I hate to see that rift widen. A lot of it is just a matter of miscommunication. So on the very first Music Entrepreneur Club, when it was Dame, Kato, and I would run a panel that somebody named Rappers versus Producers. It was kind of an ironic title because the point of the conversation was to mend the dynamic that might be negative between rappers and producers, but in a really honest way. And we normally at these workshops had about half the room as rappers, half the room as producers, with a couple of managers sprinkled in there. And so we started things off by asking what some of their grievances were with the others. So rappers, what are your grievances with producers? Producers, what are your grievances with rappers? A lot of the same frustrations that you might have as a rapper or producer come up. So I want to talk about the grievances that stood out to me, because literally all of them can be avoided. So these are my suggestions. Number one, understand your business. Me as a producer, I have to understand my business. I have to understand what the terms of my leases mean. I have to understand what the difference between an unlimited and an exclusive license are. I have to be signed up to a PRO in order to present the recording artist with that information when it comes time to register the work. Because if there's confusion with regard to any of these topics and I don't have the answers, it's going to look bad and it could create a bad situation. A lot of rappers contact me, for example, asking me why on my agreements, and it's just the standard BeatStars agreement, why I get a portion of the writer's share. Luckily, I understand publishing well enough to explain that anybody who writes music, whether it's lyrics or whether it's musical notes, in the case of composing a beat, is considered a writer in the eyes of the PROs. And therefore, a 50-50 writer split between a rapper and a producer who makes the beat is not only fair but also standard. So I can explain that, but if I couldn't explain it, I might feel defensive. And the rapper might feel like I'm trying to get over on them. And that's bad for my reputation. It means I might lose a customer. But the fact that I understand my business, and it seems like it's just a given, but a lot of producers don't understand their business. And certainly a lot of recording artists don't understand the music business at large. And so these conversations can end up taking a turn for the worse when you have two confused people arguing over things that they don't understand and can't explain to one another. Another one of the major grievances that rappers had with producers, and this is ridiculous. Producers, come on. It has to do with producers just not getting back to them. So actually reply to the emails that you get, reply to the DMs that you get, actually engage and answer questions on your YouTube videos when people leave comments, or on your Instagram videos when people leave comments, or reply to the people who reply to your Instagram stories or your tweets. If you have a beat store, you probably get DMs through that. Reply to those. Pretty much in every city we went to, there were rappers expressing that there were producers that they wanted to work with, or they had questions for, they wanted to buy beats from, they wanted to upgrade their licenses from, and they just couldn't get a hold of the producer. The producer would just not reply. We got to do better than that. This is a very simple problem to fix. You're losing customers because of that, and producers have to understand something. When someone licenses one beat, you don't just discard that person and say, okay, cool, they got a beat, I'm done with them. The most successful producers have a base of customers who trust them because they are accessible, because they reply, because they give good service. And obviously he's super busy now, but even somebody like Cash Money AP is still pretty accessible. When he first started, he would reply to every single YouTube comment. These are his words, not mine. Check it out.
You know, the more beats I was uploading, the more like feedbacks I was getting, and I was always like interacting with my followers. So that's how like people start liking me, and then I have my own style too. So it was like a huge like impact on those. I mean, the interaction was so crazy that they weren't used to that. They were just like, people are usually like, oh, they just drop music and then hope I stop, like I close my windows and it's good. But I was like taking my time to reply to everybody, and I think that's why they start liking me and following me and all that stuff.
So the next point is just be accessible. So if you're not accessible, then people don't even know how to contact you. And when they do contact you, reply to them. But that means your social media usernames add up. Some producers have crazy Instagram usernames that have nothing to do with their producer names. It's just confusing for everybody. Some of them don't have their beat store links in their bios. Some of them don't have their email addresses in their bios. Some of them have private Instagram profiles, which I will never in a million years understand. So if you're running a business, be accessible. And lastly, this also goes without saying, just give good service. This was something that I had to come to terms with because I just wanted to make music. I didn't want to be a customer service specialist. I definitely didn't, and that's certainly not why I started making music. Wasn't so I could respond to emails. But listen, these are the people that are providing a livelihood to you. This is kind of me talking to myself. That's a conversation I had. If a musician has a question, if a musician is licensing music from me, buying a beat, whatever, I owe them a good experience. I owe them prompt responses. Sometimes I don't see every email, and I apologize for that. But you have to appreciate your customer base. Give discounts or free beats if customers experience an inconvenience. Send deals to your email list subscribers because those are loyal subscribers and they deserve to be remarketed to, and they deserve deals and they deserve preference. Stay in contact with them, check in with them. There are countless ways to add value to every single transaction that you have with a customer. It doesn't end there. It shouldn't end there. If it does end there, well then guess what? They can go to another producer's beat store and work with them if they provide a better experience. So this whole negative dynamic, if there is one, between rappers and producers should not exist. It's absolutely ridiculous. If we fight, none of us win. You know, me having a feud with rappers in general actually hurts me. It doesn't help my business grow. It doesn't help my brand grow. Same way for recording artists. They get no benefit from having friction with the producer community. So if you're frustrated with one another, don't air those frustrations out publicly. Sometimes it might be because you're just not doing your part. We all have a responsibility. We're all part of the same ecosystem. We have to act like it. We have to respect each other. And if we have a negative experience, that doesn't define the entire community. It happens. Focus on the positive. We focus on the good customers. We focus on the professionals who do good business with us, and we move on. Much success to all of you. Respect each other. Respect yourselves. Peace.